Hello again, welcome to Virtua Plays. Thank you for joining me again. I thought it would be fun, I think it'll be fun, to play some Fighters Destiny on the Nintendo 64. Now, the main reason why this bland-looking fighting game is perhaps interesting is that the N64 wasn't really known as a console that had many fighting games. I think it was... Yeah, I think fighting games were probably the main genre that the N64 was missing. When you looked at it, you know, its main competition was the PlayStation and to a lesser extent the Sega Saturn. They were both full of important fighting games, and not just important fighting games, but fun fighting games. So you had Tekken, you had Virtua Fighter, you had Shinden, you had Bushido Blade, you had all the Street Fighter games. All of these series missed out the N64. And yeah, it had just a tiny amount of fighters. So you had things like Rakuga Kids, you had War Gods, you had some Mortal Kombats, to be fair, but like generally, I mean, you had Super Smash Brothers as well, which is just kind of a thing on its own, and it is a fighting game. But if we look at like the third-party fighting game, the traditional fighting games, let's say, then yeah, it was lacking. So games like Fighters Destiny, you know, they were, if you were an N64, if you only owned an N64, these are the kind of games that you were looking at. So saying all that, I never really played much Fighters Destiny. Oh, what's going on here? I think I've skipped past the menu. If you want to use a rumble pack, I haven't got a rumble pack. Okay, so I kind of skipped past Fighters Destiny, and I thought it would be good to try and catch up now. So we've got this big list of generic-looking fighters. I'm probably going to choose Ryuji from Japan, and I wonder who they've based him on. I couldn't say. So the interesting thing about Fighters Destiny, it plays a lot like games like Virtua Fighter and Fighting Vipers. It's got that same kind of style. But the different thing about it, and you might have just seen it then as the stage loaded up, is that it uses this like stars-based system, so a points-based system. So depending on how you win the match, you get a different amount of points. So if you knock somebody off the arena, you'll earn 1 point. Well, try and knock them off. No. Okay, so nobody won then, and then the judges judged that I won, so I won 1 point. I think if you get a knockout, there we go. If you get a throwdown, you get 2 points, and etc. So there's those stars at the top of the screen. You basically have to earn 7 stars to win the match, and I think that's quite a cool system. You know, it's different to the usual best of 3, and it kind of adds another element to the game where you're not just trying to kill your opponent. I mean, you are. The argument against this is that you know, if you just knock out your opponent 3 times, you're probably going to win. But quite like the judges, in particular the judges score one, where nobody wins because there's quite a strict time limit. Oh God! And as we just saw then, it's really possible to just knock your opponent out really fast. I think if you get one of those throws, it's an instant knockout. So yeah, I think it's quite an interesting system, and I think it was quite positively received when it came out. You know, I've been trying to look up some old reviews, and at least the reviews that feature on the game's Wikipedia page are all fairly positive. I remember it getting terrible reviews, but maybe that's from one magazine that I used to read. Oh crap. So you do have special moves, if I can remember them. Yeah, I mean, as I say, Ryuji. Guess who he's based on? He's basically got Ryu's moves from Street Fighter. He's got a Dragon Punch and he's got a Hadouken. And you do them almost the same as Ryu would. I think there was a sequel to the game, Fighters Destiny 2, funnily enough, but I've certainly never played that. I think for me one of the things that I would count against the game is that it looks so bland. I don't know. It's got that kind of typical N64 look where despite it being vastly more powerful than the PlayStation, the texture work on N64 games was generally quite blurry and quite bland. And I mean, you compare this to a game like Tekken 3 or Virtua Fighter 2, or like it just looks blocky and bland and a bit blurry. But I mean, fighting games aren't really about the visuals, are they? So it controls well. The character, it's not just the literal graphics that are bland. The character designs don't help it. You know, they're average at best. But it does. It actually plays better than it plays better than I expected it to. You know, as I say, I remember this getting canned in the reviews, but it does play like Virtua Fighter. I like that. It weirdly uses. I was going to say it uses a 2-button system, but it doesn't. It uses a 3-button system. You've got an upper attack. You've got a lower attack. So with Ryuji, they literally translate to punches and kicks. I don't know if that's the same with every character. But then you've got a block as well. If you press both upper and lower together, you'll do one of these throws. And I believe if you do that at the same time as your opponent, you counter it, as this guy keeps doing here. I think he's beat me. Ninja's beating me. Oh, look at Ryuji. Looks sad, doesn't he? Oh, I was attempting to change my character then, but I want to try the clown. Oh, it's very easy to walk off the stage yourself. I'm trying to work out if Ryuji's got any more special moves. Here we go. So similar to a game like Virtua Fighter, it will count punch, punch, punch as a special move when you're trying to work out the special moves, which isn't particularly helpful. I just want to get to the like Hadoukens and stuff. Here we go, Mac Punch. I'm guessing B is the lower. Okay, let's try that. Oh no, of course it's the literal B button on the controller. I'm thinking of it in the classic fighting game style, over in like A, B, C, and D. Okay, so that's the Ryu's Dragon Punch, but you can hammer the punch button, and he kind of staggers it like that, and then does a combo, which is quite cool. I like that. I can't actually tell if this Hadouken's a projectile because I'm always so close to my opponent, trying to get away so I can. I really can't tell because I've never thrown it from anything other than point blank range. But it certainly looks like a fireball. I like the little loser screen in the bottom right. Right, Bob from Bra. Again, character design leaves a little to be desired. So I mean, I've always considered that this would be the kind of game where this would be alright if you were starved for fighting games because you only had an N64, but it's actually pretty good. I'm kind of getting into it. I think it unfortunately fell at a time where, you know, despite me saying that the other consoles were full of excellent fighting games, we were at a time where we were kind of spoilt for fighting games, and they'd got less exciting. You know, we've gone through a bit of a fighting game revival in the last like 5 or 6 years, pretty much since Street Fighter 4 came out. It kind of reinvigorated the fighting game scene, but there was a time when I think people were just kind of bored of fighters, and maybe it's because there were so many good ones out. But you know, if you were deep into Tekken or if you were deep into Virtua Fighter, I feel like there was a general feeling that you didn't really have to play other fighting games. So games like Fighter's Destiny, maybe unfairly, just didn't get a look in, because why would you? I mean, even if you were just a Nintendo game and you only had an N64, you might as well just get kind of amazing at Super Smash Brothers. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, that was good. I think this is tons better than I was expecting. So that's quite nice. I'm enjoying that move. So I think there's a bunch of secret characters as well that you can unlock by playing the various modes. And we'll see. If I finish this versus computer mode, we'll find out. Okay, so I'm guessing that isn't a firewall, because I just tried it when I was quite far away and it didn't go across the screen. Enjoying Tomahawk. I'm definitely not using block how I should be. Oh, that was quite good, wasn't it? Block that. I am getting this feeling that the characters are very similar. You know, when we look at a Street Fighter game, and massive plug if you've been watching all of the Street Fighter series, the characters are hugely different, and we're getting some weird graphical upset here on the emulator. So you know, there's a huge difference between a character like Balrog and Chun-Li, or Blanka and Ken. You know, it's not just their special moves; they actually move across the screen differently. And I'm not really getting that feeling from Fighter's Destiny. Kind of feels like everyone's got the same character model, and maybe they've got different special moves, but I'm not massively getting that feeling. So yeah, I'm emulating this on a Raspberry Pi, and it's decided to kick up some weird graphical errors in the 5th round or whatever. Yeah, look at that odd silhouette. Maybe it's not an error. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe that was in the original game. I doubt it. My name is EEE. Ready, fight. Oh, that graphical error is not going anywhere, is it? So we've got challenge the record, break the record in 3 different modes. We've got master challenge, defeat the master and gain skills. Up to 8 new skills can be gained. That's quite good. Like maybe you're earning new moves, practice to win. Fairly obvious. Okay, let's. That weird error's just staying on the screen, isn't it? I kind of want to try this guy, Pierre, the clown. Let me reboot this and we'll have a go. We'll see if Pierre's any different. If he's more or less the same, I'm gonna knock this on the head. So hold tight. I'm gonna reboot. And we are back. I have rebooted the game. Let's check out this clown. Yeah, doing versus com again. Might as well load my data, I guess. If there's any reason not to. So what are the other characters? We've got Tomahawk, Mei Ling, Ninja, I haven't seen them, Valerie, Leon from España. Okay, let's try Pierre, because he looks crazy. Hey, hold on to your seat. So what else we've got? Judge Special, so if you finish with Special, you get 4 points. Come on. Okay, so after saying that all the characters control the same, Pierre definitely feels different. So I'm completely wrong on that aspect. Oh, almost jumped out of the ring there, which we don't particularly want to do. Yeah, he's got these, like, he jumps around, look. What of his moves involve him moving around. He feels... I'm trying to think what I can compare him to. Maybe like elements of Voldo from Soul Calibur and Soul Edge. In that, like, when you attack it, it'll throw him into a different stance. Or, what's the old man called from Virtua Fighter? Like some of his moves will knock him into a slightly different stance and you have to fight from there. Oh, that was ace! Okay, so Pierre's my jam. You know, he looks completely ridiculous. And that's the point of a clown, isn't it? Okay. I'm not doing as well with him as I was with Fake Ryu, but it's quite good. But yeah, again, super generic. But I mean, as we've talked about with Street Fighter games, it's not like the Street Fighter characters weren't generic. They're only accepted now because that franchise has been going for so long, and we're totally okay with a karate guy called Ken, and you know, Indian guy who teleports and breathes fire on a stage full of elephants. Like, brilliant. So Leon has absolutely decked me. Really enjoying that move. Enjoying his little celebration at the end as well, where he flaps his wings around. So that move's quite good, but it's got a real wind up. Like when I skip back, that's not me being fancy. It's like that. It's the first part of the move. So you want to hit with it if you can. Anyway, yeah, I've been completely decked by Leon. Yeah, I'm gonna tap out now because I feel like we've seen enough of it. But yeah, thanks for joining me. I'm genuinely surprised by that game. I was going in expecting this to be a bit of a, oh, look at this terrible fighting game on the N64, but it's genuinely quite good, and I feel like I'm going to play more of this. Yeah, thank you again for joining me, and I hope you can join me again in the future. So yeah, I'll see you then. Alright, ta-ra!